Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today, thank you for watching. Housekeeping first of all, we've had another councillor elected down south in Portsmouth. This is Joe Standen in Portsmouth City Council. He won a by-election overnight and he got 64% of the votes. So well done to Joe down south. I hope you do good things for your constituents, so well done for that. There's been a lot of talk about the by-election in Caerphilly overnight, and I want to cut past the media spin and look at the bigger picture, which I think people are missing. Labour collapsed, that's the reality of the situation. If you look at the vote share in the Caerphilly by-election, 34% swings to Reform, 19% swings to Plaid Cymru, 15% drop for Tories, and 35% drop for Labour. In short, the Uniparty between them got 13% of the votes. That is catastrophe for both Tories and Labour. That's the takeaway from the by-election last night. It was always a big ask for Reform to take this seat. They were essentially starting from nothing, and they achieved 36% of the votes. The comparison I would draw is if you look at the previous election down in Caerphilly for the Senate in 2021, Reform got less than UKIP, they got 1.2% of the vote, and to take that from 1.2% to come second place, that is amazing. And as I say, look at the swing went to 34% of the vote. Now, if you compare that to my constituency up north in Runcorn and Helsby, where Reform took the MP seat for Sarah Pochin, their swing up in Runcorn and Helsby was only 20.5%. Alright? So about half of what they achieved in Wales yesterday. Next time they're going to take it, that's the reality of the situation. You need to cut past the media spin and the bias of the legacy media, because they're always going to spin it a particular way. When the SNP rose in Scotland to become the dominant political party in Scotland for the past decade, it was sold as an anti-Tory ticket, anti-Brexit ticket, anything right-wing. That's why the SNP were getting all the traction in Scotland. Nothing to do with the Labour collapse in Scotland. Remember, the Tories got in 2010, the coalition with the Lib Dems. Labour retained the majority of the seats in Scotland. It was only after the separatist referendum in 2014 that Labour actually collapsed in Scotland. So when they tried to sell it in the mainstream that this is a vote against the Tories, it wasn't. It was a vote against Labour, because Labour has taken its heartlands for granted in Wales, in the north, in Scotland. It's been taken for granted for decades upon decades. My MP is the best MP we've had in 50 years, and you can take that to the bank. And then we move on to this particular image here. This tells another story for Caerphilly, which is the diversity. The diversity is not hit Caerphilly yet. If you look, it is 97% white British. Alright? So the diversity that's hitting the major cities has not hit South Wales yet. That's the takeaway I've got here. The southwest of England has a similar thing where it's fertile Lib Dem territory at the moment, because the diversity is not hit there yet. What you need to factor in with that is, as soon as this Operation Scatter, which is going to be dispersing all the dinghy divers all over the country, once it hits the Tory shires, once it hits the heartlands and Wales, you're going to see a lot of these places go awful UKIP advance Reform UK rather quickly. These are the takeaways that you need to be taking from this by-election. It is astonishing that Reform UK have got 36% of the vote when, as I say, they're a new party. They've only contested one round of Senate elections before. And next year is going to be even more difficult. If there was any tactical voting for Plaid Cymru, the separatist in Wales, to make sure that they win, it's going to be harder next year for the Senate elections, because they're going to a fully list-based voting system. So you don't actually vote for individual candidates anymore for the Senate next year. You'll be voting on a list basis, so you vote for the party, and the party will tell you what candidates they're going to put in these seats in the Welsh Assembly. So that's the way it's going to work moving forward. Let me look at this particular image here. Alright, this is how Sky News chose to sell the by-election. Nothing about the catastrophic collapse of the Labour Party in Wales, which has ruled the Senedd forever and a day since its inception in 1999. Nothing about them losing the election. It's all about the fact that Farage lost. Farage didn't lose anything. Alright, Farage didn't lose anything. It wasn't his seat. He wasn't contesting the seat. Reform didn't lose a seat. Labour lost the seat. That's the story, which is why the thumbnail of this is about Reform's rise, 34% swing, and the decimation of Labour. Plaid Cymru, that's an aside, in my particular view. Now, based on the 34% swing and the 36% polling, that's right in line with what opinion polls are telling us, both for UK-wide elections and for the Senedd election next year. These are the important things you need to remember. Remember how it's being sold to you by the legacy media. They don't want reforms to do well. They want their paymasters, being the Labour Party, to do well. So when you look at this one here, this is the projection for the Senedd election next year. Reform, on just under 30% of the vote share, are projected to get 36 seats. Collapse and Labour, Plaid Cymru coming in second. And that's based on Reform getting about 30% of the vote. They got 36% of this particular by-election. Okay, so that is a conservative estimate. And if you extrapolate that towards a UK-wide general election, you're looking at over 400 seats for Reform. And look at all those areas in Wales that have gone light blue, turquoise. These are the things you need to remember. If you are a Reform member or a Reform voter, don't be disheartened. I'm not. The election result yesterday was nothing but an absolute win. Obviously, it would have been nice to win the seat. We can't have everything all the time. Next year, I'll be astonished if Reform don't win the Senedd in terms of seats. The thing that you need to remember with the devolved assemblies, Plaid Cymru have been propping up Labour, and they've been propping up Labour for about a decade now, because the vote share for Labour's been collapsing. The inverse could be true here. You could see a reversal of fortune where you get the Labour Party propping up Plaid Cymru, the separatists. So remember that next time Labour says that they are the vote for the Union, the vote to keep the United Kingdom together. No, they're not. They're willing to accept support from the separatists, and they're probably prepared to give support to the separatists as well. These are just my thoughts. As always, your mileage may vary. Now, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like and subscribe. If you think I'm selling this wrong, let me know. If you think the thumbnail's misleading, you let me know. I appreciate your time, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.